How much do you think a bomber like the B-52 can carry in bombs? 70,000 pounds. That's about 32 tons of death and destruction. Now imagine a beast like that flying over a city with all that ammunition. Even just thinking about it is terrifying. But that's just one of the 10 bombers we're going to look at today. In fact, in this video, we're going to check out bombers that changed the course of wars with a single move and see what's behind these iron giants and why the world fears them. So stay with me until the end of this video. Alright, before we get into the deadly bombers, you might be wondering, what's the difference between a bomber and a fighter jet anyway? Let me quickly and simply explain the difference between a bomber and a fighter. Fighter jets are fast, agile, and usually single-seaters. Of course, some models, depending on the crew's role and the mission, can be two-seaters or even have more crew members. And in short, fighter jets are made for aerial combat, but bombers, let me tell you, that's a whole different story. They're like flying trucks loaded with bombs, designed to level an entire city to the ground. In short, bombers may be heavy and slow, but they're deadly. So basically, a fighter jet goes after aerial targets while a bomber is sent to destroy ground targets, anything from factories to nuclear facilities. If I were to give you an example, a fighter jet like the F-22 Raptor is a single-seater, but its power matches that of an entire squadron. That is, a group of military aircraft, including both fighters and bombers that train and carry out missions together. If I want to talk about bombers, I can mention the B-2 Spirit, which we'll discuss in detail later. So what is a drone? It's an unmanned aircraft. An example would be the WZ-8, which is one of China's advanced reconnaissance drones. It can penetrate the most dangerous areas at high speed and spy without even being seen. Now that we've understood the difference between a fighter jet and a bomber, let's move on to the 10 bombers that still haunt the world's nightmares. Number 10 on our list is the Xi'an H-6N, an upgraded version of the H-6, which itself was based on the Russian Tu-16 bomber. It's interesting to know that China has equipped this bomber so that it can launch hypersonic missiles and even air-launch nuclear ballistic missiles. And a scary fact is that this bomber can probably also deploy the hypersonic WZ-8 reconnaissance drone. Number 9, the Tupolev 95 MSM, known as the Flying Bear, is a bomber with turboprop engines whose engine noise can be heard from several kilometers away. It's interesting to know that the original design of the 95 dates back to the 1950s. Nevertheless, the Russian military is still using the upgraded version of this bomber, the 95 MSM. This bomber is equipped with advanced defensive systems and is capable of carrying nuclear cruise missiles. It is said that the Russians plan to remain loyal to this bomber until 2040, and the 95 MSM will continue to be in service. Number 8 also still belongs to Russia. The Tupolev 22 M3M, although bombers in general aren't as fast as fighter jets, this model has really good speed and maneuverability. This bomber is a modernized version of the 22, which can hit both naval and ground targets. The 22 M3M is kind of a tactical bomber that, in a way, blurs the line between fighter jets and heavy giant bombers in terms of speed. The reason for this bomber's high maneuverability is its variable sweep wings, slim fuselage, aerodynamic design, and powerful engines. Number 7. The B-1B Lancer, also known as the Bone. It's a light, fast, agile, and ruthless American bomber. This one isn't a fighter either, but its speed at sea level reaches 1.2 Mach. So why do they call it a bomber? Well, this nickname comes from putting together the name B-1, and it's a nickname given to it by airplane enthusiasts. This bomber is capable of penetrating enemy air defense systems by using its speed and low altitude. Despite its tough and powerful appearance, the B-1 moves smoothly in the sky, just like a lightweight but deadly bird of prey, like a falcon. But number 6 on our list is the Boeing B-52G Stratofortress from the United States, which might just be the grandfather of bombers. You should know that even though this bomber's first flight was in 1952, it's still expected to fly until 2050. With a range of over 10,000 kilometers, this bomber can fly from the US to the heart of the Middle East and back without refueling. On top of that, it's set to be upgraded with new Rolls-Royce F-130 engines, improved radars, and advanced communication systems, and is expected to enter service by 2027. So far, we've gotten to know 5 of the coolest bombers. But please do stick with me until the very end of this comprehensive video, and I will introduce you to even more incredibly awesome and truly powerful bombers. Number 5. The Tupolev Tu-160M2. This formidable Russian strategic bomber is widely recognized as one of the absolute largest and fastest supersonic strategic bombers in the entire world, and it is famously nicknamed the Blackjack. This bomber, with a payload capacity of 49,000 pounds, that's about 22 tons of weapons, including nuclear arms, can unleash real hell. It's interesting to know that the Tu-160M2 is so gigantic and heavy that when you see it, you can't help but wonder how this beast is supposed to get off the ground. This bomber is an upgraded version of the Tu-160, which was left over from the Soviet era. But the key differences in the M2 version are its new radars and engines, digital cockpit, smart defense system, electronic warfare equipment, and the ability to launch long-range cruise missiles with nuclear capability. You could say it's the combination of long-range, high payload capacity, high speed, and the ability to fly for up to 13 hours without refueling that makes this bomber so unique. In short, the Tu-160M2 is more of a psychological weapon than just a deadly bomber. Because when a country realizes that such a giant is coming over its head, its deterrence level automatically goes up. Let's go back to China and talk about the CNH-20 bomber. Of course, this bomber hasn't become operational yet and is currently in the development and testing phase. According to Pentagon reports, it's not expected to enter service until 2030. The Chinese have said they'll unveil this bomber very soon, but their statement hasn't been officially confirmed by authorities. In any case, the CNH-20 is supposed to be a direct competitor to the American B-2, a stealth bomber with a flying wing design that can hit targets from a distance of 8,500 kilometers, or about 5,000 miles. But these days, everyone knows about the Northrop Grumman B-2 Spirit bomber. This stealth monster costs about $2 billion to build per unit. With its strange appearance, the B-2 looks like a bird to radar. One of the special features of this bomber is that it can carry the B-83 nuclear bomb and precision GBU bombs. But it seems like Russia isn't backing down. The Tupolev PAK-DA is Russia's next-generation bomber, which is still in the development stage. This bomber has a range of about 12,000 kilometers, or in other words, 7,500 miles, and it can carry 30 tons of weapons, including hypersonic missiles. The primary goal of this advanced bomber is to significantly surpass the capabilities of the B-2 Spirit, and now we have to patiently wait and observe if the Russian Federation will indeed succeed in their ambitious endeavors or not. Finally, let us discuss the new, highly anticipated kid on the block within the US military's arsenal. The Northrop Grumman B-21 Raider had its first flight in November 2023 and is set to replace both the B-1 and the B-2. Its ultra-stealthy design, the ability to carry 9 tons of bombs, and intercontinental flight capability make this bomber the most terrifying in the world. So far, about 3 of these bombers have been built for testing. The approximate price for each one is around $692 million. The US plans to produce at least 100 to 145 of these bombers. They say that between the years 2027 and 2033, the wait for the first operational flight and official entry of this bomber will come to an end. Now that we've gotten to know these 10 truly deadly giants, you should know that some prominent analysts firmly believe that supersonic strategic bombers like the Tu-160M2 are the absolute key to future success. Some people say that advanced stealth like the B-21 is the most important thing, but others believe the future belongs to unmanned aircraft or drones and artificial intelligence. That means maybe in the coming years there won't be any news of pilots or humans, and war will be a battle between robots. But the question is, has the era of traditional bombers come to an end? Or are these bombers still a trump card in the world of modern warfare? Well, everything depends on future technology and, of course, the decisions that people make. But I think bombers are kind of a relic from an era when war meant the total destruction of a country, but now they mostly serve as a deterrent. Although at the same time, bombers are constantly updating themselves with new technologies like artificial intelligence, stealth, and precision weapons. Now you tell me, which of these powerful bombers do you personally think was the absolute scariest? Do you truly believe that with these formidable bombers, deterrence will become significantly stronger and the world will genuinely move toward a lasting peace? Or will it tragically lead to an all-out, devastating war like a potential World War III that could ultimately end up destroying the entire world? Write your opinion in the comments section. I'd love to know what you think. From the Soviet turboprop bears to the American stealthy ghosts, bombers have always been part of the exchange of fear between powers, because bombers are not just flying machines. These are messengers of death, because with just one button, they can change the fate of the world. But the lesson we learn from this video is that behind the military design of every bomber, there is strategic thinking, advanced technology, and foresight. So we shouldn't just look at the intimidating appearance of bombers, because each bomber represents ambition, stealth power, speed, and striking capability.